Hi, it's Chris Lamb. This is the first market update for January of 2020. Happy New Year. We're going to jump right in. We're going to do a little bit of a forecast of what we are hearing and what we're kind of seeing as we look forward to interest rates and housing for the year 2020. The first thing we want to talk about is the Federal Reserve. In 2019, we had lots of clients calling us hearing that the Federal Reserve dropped the federal discount rate for the first time in a long time. Now, if you look back in 19, the Fed dropped the federal fund rate 3 times. In 2018, the Fed was raising rates, and in 19, they sort of hit the panic button. We saw some things happening in the markets where they felt the need to drop that rate. Now, what's important to look at is the federal rate does not directly impact mortgage rates, although it did indirectly help rates come down in 2019. As we look forward in 2020, we don't expect the Federal Reserve to drop the federal rate anymore. Things are going pretty well. But we do continue to see the trend of mortgage rates staying relatively low as we look forward this year. Now, one of the other things that we wanted to bring up are the things that we're looking at in 2020 that could have an impact on interest rates and housing. The most obvious one is the elections. Now, currently, the stock market, the financial markets are in favor of our current administration. And it doesn't look like they're too concerned that there's going to be a change of the guard as we head into the November election. However, as we get closer to the November election, there could be some volatility depending on how that goes. Currently, we're not seeing that there's a lot of concern there, but as we go forward, we're going to continue to give you guys updates on what we're seeing happening, how that's affecting interest rates and housing, and it should prove to be a rather interesting year. Now let's talk about housing real quick. One of the really exciting things that we're looking at in 2020 is that affordability is actually getting better, especially in Northern California. We're seeing prices start to sort of level out. We're also seeing that wages as a whole, with the economy being better, have been going up. And the last thing is, with interest rates coming down, a lot of people that are looking at buying in 2020 are seeing a lower monthly payment than they would have just a little over a year ago. And so as we head into 2020, we still think that the housing market should remain fairly strong. Now, one of the challenges we still have, especially in California, is that rents are still on the rise. Even though our governor instituted rent control, that's unfortunately had a reverse effect on a lot of people that have been renting, as most landlords have been raising their rents to try to make sure they're at current market rents. And so it should be interesting moving forward, but as we look at mostly people that own homes and people that are getting into the market in 2020, we should see that the stability of home values should be pretty strong. And finally, the last thing that we're going to talk about is the big R word, recession. In 2017 and 18, there was a lot of news talking about a recession coming in 2020. Now, keep in mind, a recession is just 2 consecutive quarters where we don't have a lot of growth going on. Right now, there's not a ton of concern about that happening in 2020. What I want to bring to light is, even if we had a recession, generally in a recession, interest rates go down, which would still stabilize the housing market. A lot of the clients that have asked me about recessions and what's that's going to do, we all have the mindset of what happened in 2008 and 9. And I always remind people, back then, there was a lot of subprime loans where people's payments were doubling, tripling, sometimes quadrupling within a few months period of time. Right now we have the largest amount of people that own homes with interest rates in the 3s and 4s on 30-year fixed products, and most of these people could not rent a house for what they're paying in a mortgage payment. So I don't really have a lot of concerns about that. That's not really in the headlines right now. But again, a lot of things could change as we head into the election. So that's it for this month. If you have any questions, if it's a goal of yours to buy a home in 2020, we encourage you to call me. We'd love to talk to you, and I hope you have a great January.